Okay, welcome to the demo for repeatable database creation. I have the first item on the agenda. Let me share my screen. So first item was something I saw that came out of the registry database project, which I think we should follow up on, which is some different behavior on Ubuntu 18.04. My understanding is that we're using Ubuntu 18.04 for the registry for at the registry for the Petroni cluster for registry. I haven't seen this ourselves, so maybe we should check to see whether we see this behavior. Sorry, so Akmal, you were to say something?
Yeah, we don't use systemd resolved for the DNS lookup.
Oh.
For the DB provisioning at least.
Uh-huh.
So perhaps we need to see how our current setup works if we install OSQuery, see if the same it exhibits the same symptoms or not.
Yeah, so we probably need an issue for creating the OSQuery role in Ansible, right?
I guess so, yes.
Yeah, okay. We had a discussion this morning. We're going to rename GitLab Common Infrastructure and start bringing in Ansible workloads. This means that we may deprecate the DB provisioning project, create an epic for that. That's linked to the staging build out epic. I'm probably going to get started on that soon, maybe as soon as today or tomorrow, and hopefully it'll move fast. Once we do that, then I'd like to shoot, we don't have anything demo for today, but I'd like to target for next week's demo to get staging infrastructure provisioned and maybe even join the existing Petroni cluster, but we'll see how that goes. Before we do that, we need to support encryption for console, which is item number 3. I submitted an MR to kind of get those changes started. This creates environment secrets and a secret for the encryption for console. I had to de-vendor the console template from Get because Get doesn't support this right now. And Grant's on here, but I'll just say, like, we talked about it and it sounds like we're going to wait until Omnibus officially supports this before we do anything in Get, right?
Yeah, we always try and follow Omnibus to stop us from drifting too far and making Get essentially a competitor to Omnibus and taking on that burden that we wouldn't be able to manage because the distribution team obviously bigger. So we always suggest pushing Omnibus for it to happen in Omnibus first, and then we'd happily like expose the settings on our end. But yeah, that's the correct way to do it. But yeah.
Yeah. So this also came up where I guess we have this more general problem where we set a configuration parameter, or we set the configuration hash in the GitLab RB template, and I don't have any way to add additional items to that hash. Do you know what I mean by that? Like,
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, and there was another case where I needed to add meta labels to it, and I just wanted to like pass that in. Now we could add explicit supporting get, I guess, to like, if you want to add specific configuration items, you set them as a new variable and then you kind of merge that in or what, like, I don't know. At this point, it's really like, it starts to get messy, right? Like, how do we handle, like, how are we going to handle like customizations to GitLab RB where we have stuff like this already set?
Yeah, it's going to be, it will be, it depends on the specific setting, of course, but yeah, when it comes to like a setting that itself is a hash, that's not as agreeable for our approach, for any approach really, to automate omnibus. It's not just us that would suffer from this. The idea obviously is that once this, particularly for this thing, once it's added an omnibus and we know there's guidance documentation, or maybe not even that far, as long as we've got guidance of this is how you set up security on console, with like all the features that console itself has, such as encryption between and everything else, we'd expose those settings in the hash to be, get settings essentially. For additional settings, that, I guess the approach would be raise issues where you can expose them, or there is the option obviously to take what we do with console and do it as a custom config, but it gets messy quickly because you need to make sure you're mimicking what we're doing. So basically we need to keep exposing the settings that you want in console and get for the things that are dropped into a hash. And hopefully there's not too many settings like that kicking about that we have to do that for.
Yeah.
I mean, the good news is because it's I lost my train of thought there, sorry.
It's okay. Yeah, I mean, another option is that in the extra file, we could, instead of like setting GitLab configuration, or sorry, instead of setting console configuration, we could set like console configuration and then the specific item, right? And then that will make it so that it doesn't overwrite the entire configuration block. I guess that's an option. We'll have to figure out how to do that, but it's, yeah, I would say like it's tricky, right? Because I want to keep this stuff, this retry join and the bind address, but I want to add like some other configuration here. So
yeah, I was going to say we don't currently support templating in custom config files.
yeah.
I don't know off the top of my head if there's any immediate blockers to that. It's something we can look into as an additional in the future, but again, that puts the onus on the user because we have to be kind of binary here. Either we expose the options and get, or we give the full configuration to the end user. And anything in between will get messy quickly. We could go nuts and do various customizations for this particular one piece of config, but then we need to do it in other places as well that are also hashes. So
yeah,
it's a maintenance nightmare really. So yeah, it's
I agree.
But yeah,
okay. Let's
happy to look at solutions.
this.
But yeah,
no, I mean, I don't think it's a good use of your time or the team's time to look at this now, because this is a very narrow use case, unless if it comes up for other teams like Project Horse. I would say let's not worry about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird case that yeah, it's a weird case. We'd want it if as soon as Omnibus gets the support, and that's where that's where we encourage. If Horse and this requires encryption in Omnibus, then Omnibus should get support to handle encryption. We've definitely exposed those settings, and then any other settings for now that you think are useful, let us know for issues, and we can expose those. Any current settings we can expose, of course. That's not too much of a burden, but yeah, that it has to probably be that kind of situation.
Okay. Yep, that sounds good. And then number 4, we now support or now get supports. I think the issue is still open, but it's open because, Grant, you're not like, you think that there might be a little bit more work to do, but I think the main thing that was blocking us is now complete, which is we can pass in the subnet. So we can bang out this issue if someone wants to pick it up, which is just to assign our instances to the existing VPC. We'll need to do this too when we do staging and production. So we'll do that. And we've reached the end of the discussion section. Like I said, nothing to demo for this week. I think next week I'm hoping to demo building out into staging, adding a Patroni cluster. But we'll see how that goes. It depends on, I have this epic to refactor the GitLab Common Infrastructure project. So it'll depend on that. Anything else?
Yeah, the issue is only open because the issue in Get World is we need to add it to the RefArch module as well. That's how we currently kind of work. But I realized quite quickly that there was an immediate kind of iteration to unblock you because you're only using the instance. So that's in now. We're still the issue will get closed when we add it to the RefArch module. We're currently going for the design of for you obviously the settings there now, so you can pass in whatever you wish. So you could create multiple subnets in your world. In the RefWorks world, you'll probably only create one subnet per region as required. So it's only actually going to be one subnet because it's just the way that GCP works compared to AWS. But I'm happy to have feedback on that if you think that's not useful or valid. But for you that doesn't matter because you'll be creating subnets yourself.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's all good.
Great. Thanks a lot, Grant. And thanks, Ahmad. We'll end the meeting. Ciao.
Okay. Thanks all.